What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Spec Ops: The Line, the news of what's going on with this game, and game preservation yet again. You know, we talk a lot about game preservation on this channel. I actually have an entire third channel that is just retrospective content, and because of that, I've gotten, I would honestly say, more and more passionate as the last maybe year and a half, 2 years has gone on. If you want to know that channel, Podcast Now Back to the Past, I'll leave a link in the description and as a pinned comment if you want to check it out. You know, I oftentimes talk about that golden era of like 2010 to maybe like 2013, and there's a couple gems when you think of like the Sleeping Dogs of the world: Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, Vanquish, Spec Ops: The Line, the Transformers games. There's probably, well, I just listed off, 5-6 of them. There's probably a good 10-15 games that came out, in probably just a 3-4 year radius, that a lot of those games actually went under the radar. Spec Ops: The Line is actually a pretty good example of it. Really, really good game, but definitely didn't set the world on fire, didn't do all that well in terms of sales. Again, I mentioned Vanquish and stuff. Vanquish didn't do all that well either, but this game is extremely good. And we'll talk about it. Maybe I'll do a video on this game on Podcast Now Back to the Past, but I remember playing it, and I remember really, really liking it. It's a very like an adult themed game. I think I play, maybe like as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, whatever age I guess I was. I think I got it, but I think I probably should play it, again, as a little bit older of a person. So what's the news? Well, the game's been delisted. Now, so far, it seems to only be delisted certain places. This was actually caught, I believe, on Steam, where, they removed it. And the talk was, okay, so, something's going on with this game. You can't buy it, here or there. And then they officially, 2K, issued a statement. Now, in their statement, they said everywhere that it's going to be removed from online storefronts. That's the quote. That's the line. I think, as of right now, you can still actually get this game, say, on Xbox. Okay, if you go to the Xbox store, you can still do it. But if you're going to do that, I would do it extremely, extremely soon. Now, okay, did you wait 12 years, to get this game? Because I think this game came out in 2012. No, probably not. But that does raise a rather interesting point, and that does get us to the conversation of games preservation, okay? So why am I making this video? Well, number one, news, worthy kind of thing. The game is very soon not going to be available to buy. I think it's an incredible game that warrants, a video right there. But it also makes a pretty good point for, again, like the game preservation topic, because it goes bigger, or the idea or the theme is bigger than just Spec Ops: The Line. Much like all of these stories, when the crew, the servers, are going to go down in March. When that happens, it's another example of that type of game. It's not even necessarily, it's not just a Ubisoft problem. It's not just a crew problem. Now, it's affecting the game, the crew, but, it goes beyond that. And it's the same thing here. So what I actually wanted to bring up is the reasoning. Now, I don't know if this is officially confirmed, or maybe 2K actually said it. Maybe they did. It's the music. The music is actually the cause of why they're doing this. Now, this isn't all that uncommon. But normally what happens is you have a choice. Okay? So music, I think like the theme in the beginning of this game is actually at least one of the key problems here. So music, the licenses expire. And when this happens, this actually happens for like YouTube videos as well. We've seen it where they have to get pulled. And for at least a YouTube video point of view, they get pulled, and then, you edit it without it, or you just re-up the membership, the license, and you put the video back out. That's happened a few times, even in recent memory, with some bigger game trailers, okay? When it comes to a game, you also have a choice, and they had a choice here. And again, we're going to get to the larger picture of what this means beyond Spec Ops, but just for Spec Ops, they had a choice to, figure it out, the licensing. You could pull it and you can put it back up. Now, it doesn't sound like they're going to do that. It really sounds like the choice they decided to make was, let's just pull it, for good. Now, do I understand that to some degree? I do. I do. This game never really sold, okay? It didn't really sell 12 years ago on different consoles, okay? We've gone through 2 console generations since then. The game is more than 10 years old, and it never did well in the first place. Sales did really well, critically. Reviews and people that played it really liked it, but never did good sales. So do I understand it? Yes, I understand it to a degree. But why is it important? Well, again, it's the bigger picture. It's not necessarily a 2K thing. It's not necessarily a Spec Ops thing. That's the point of, that's what's happening right now, but it goes beyond that. This can happen at any time. And the music thing specifically does scare me, right? So when you talk about, this all digital future, and, we've brought up the Alan Wakes of the world, the man who erased his name, right? These games that are not physical. And I still think Alan Wake 2, by the way, is going to get a physical edition one day, like on a limited run kind of thing. But regardless, these games that are digital only, right? There's a lot of problems, I think, when it comes to digital only. They control the prices much more strictly. Sales, because I can even think of the reselling market. A lot of the games that I've bought over the last year and a half, I don't get them for full price, obviously, right? Because it's physical and the value kind of fluctuates. But if it's digital, they really hold all the power. So there's a couple things that are bad, with digital only. There's the idea of the internet and stuff like that. But there's also their control, right? They can pull it at any time. So if you've bought it, and then but you don't have it downloaded, well, you're screwed. So the music thing specifically scares me because it is it's not an issue that hits like one or two different games. This is a thing that's like a real problem or just like a real situation that happens. You know what I mean? Like these music licensing, it happens all the time. And again, they had a choice here, but you could say, well, okay, in 5 to 10 years, all of these games have choices, and games are still big and small. Games that come out, say, a year or 2 years ago, right? They may not be, or maybe they weren't popular when they released. Maybe they're not going to be popular in 5 to 10 years. You know what I mean? Even Alan Wake, say, let's use Alan Wake 2 as an example. Alan Wake 2 has not really sold well, at all. So I'm not saying it's literally a Spec Ops situation, but 5, 10 years from now, the game didn't sell at launch. It didn't sell 5 years from now. It didn't sell 10 years, let's just say, right? It didn't sell at all these points. Well, could you understand why they take it off the stores? Yeah, I actually could, because you're not really making any money. But again, it's that ownership, right? The idea that the game disappears. Now, is it as bad for Spec Ops? No. Honestly, it's not nearly as bad because they're not, the game's a single player, it's a story-driven game, okay? That's the prime. I don't even know. I don't remember. I don't think, did it have multiplayer? It definitely was for the story this game was built around, so I remember the story at least, right? So you don't lose that. You can still get it physically, and just quick thing to throw out there, for all the games that I've bought I've spent so much money in the last year to get all these games. I have Vanquish, and I got all the key ones I said, Sleeping Dogs, Transformers, Enslaved, all those games. I have them all. The only one in that gem pile, The Darkness 2 is actually a good one as well. Spec Ops The Line. This is the only game, actually, this is the only one of that group that I actually do not have yet. So I got to get this thing physically. So it's not as bad. I'll definitely give you that. It is not as bad for this game. It's not a crew situation. It's not these games that once they're gone forever. This game can still live, and you can still play it. It has those factors. So that's definitely good. Definitely something to throw out there. But the music thing is really the thing that stands out. It's the thing that scares me, and that's more of the bigger picture thing, right? Because right now it's just a game being delisted, and you can't get it, digitally anymore. But if games are only digital and they have music issues, which happens quite often, well then, when they're gone, they're not there anymore. So, or even if they take it down, right? Like when the game is out physically, when Spec Ops The Line, if I were to get a copy, which hopefully I can, in the next little while, if it's gone digitally, you still have the physical, you know what I mean? And even if they put back the digital, you still have the physical in the meantime. If it's only digital, even if they put it back out, they take the game out, because legally I think they have to, you know what I mean? They take the game off, they work on the licensing agreement and say they do it. They renew the licensing so they can put the game back out. Well, an all digital future, right? Going forward, 3-5 years from now, it's probably sooner than that. But that game, even though, it'll be back out and it was out, there's a period of time where it's not there. You know what I mean? It's literally gone. It literally doesn't exist, even though it released, even though maybe you bought it, right? So these are just issues I like to talk about because, these videos tend to focus on what's happening and the specific game, that we're talking about. But I always like to throw in, well, let's think about the future, right? How this could affect, going forward. And it's something, I got to be real, definitely removing games from the storefronts is something we've talked about and something I've always, kind of been worried about. But when you add on that it can be for something as simple, and it's not, I would say it's not fully in their control. I mean, obviously they pick the music, they pick the licensing, or they work it out, you know what I mean? So I guess it is in their control a little bit, but honestly, I'm not going to fault developers too much for that kind of thing. It's not it's not something that they massively have control over. It's really maybe even more of the music industry, right? So it's something that aspect of it is not really something I think about all that often. And so I guess thanks, Spec, because you reminded me of a potential issue of digital only. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Play this game, by the way. Definitely, if you have not ever played this game, play it. Let me know what you think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.